A couple of years ago, I was talking with a friend of mine who had just returned from a trip to Alaska. She was talking about how cold it was frigid, she said. The snow was piled high. She lived out in a remote cabin for a few days to experience the true Alaskan weather. I felt it was very reminiscent of my home in Ukraine, and it got me to thinking, what Russians or Ukrainians are there in Alaska? Fast forward 2 years to summer 2021, I actually started exploring the Russian population and history in Alaska. Turns out there's quite a large Russian population, culture group, and communities throughout the state. There was a specific group of Russians I stumbled across called the Old Believers that moved there in the late 1960s. It sparked some curiosity and interests for me specifically. I wanted to learn about them and their lives as Russian Americans in Alaska. So I grabbed a friend of mine and we traveled to Nikolaevsk, Alaska to meet and learn about the Old Believers. Here's that story. Good afternoon from Alaska. I'm on my way from Anchorage to a small town 200 miles south called Nikolaevsk. Back in 1968, there's a group of Russians that moved to Nikolaevsk to pursue religious freedom. They're known as the Old Believers, and I have some questions about what they're like today, how they're different than mainland Russians and different from those who believe in the new Russian faith way. So I'm here to explore those questions and document and take you along with me, so join me on the journey. Outside of Anchorage, Alaska is vast. It is remote, from the mountains to the winding roads in between and the fields. There are all these small towns along Highway 1. I believe it's called Highway 1. Yeah, Highway 1. There are all these small towns along the way. And we made a shocking discovery in one of them as we're heading to Nikolaevsk.
Cool.
An Orthodox Ave. It's like a side mission.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Side mission?
Either they're both used in
Cool.
different games.
Wow. Look at that right there. This is like a proper Orthodox cemetery. They're definitely not here. I just want to go up to the door and look at it. Wow. So it's the Transfiguration of Our Lord Church, overlooking the bay and sea. Huh. There's looks like there's Cyrillic on here. It's the date 1991 on it. So this building must be where people can come and pray or light candles. It looks like this church here is more of a tourist piece, and this one may be more for religious purposes, because there's a proper place, proper stand with the Bible on it. You have icons on the wall, places to put candles. It also smells amazing. The trees are so vibrant with aroma. You smell pine. The garden patch that you walk through smells really good as well. Alaska's turned out to be really just good for your senses.
So what are you noticing as you walk through so far?
Some of the core things that you notice coming through here is specifically that this is laid out in a way that would fit into any small Russian or Slavic village or in Ukraine. So from the way that the village is laid out down there to the way that this is like a community point, everything feels as it would if you were happened to be strolling in a small village in Russia.
Yeah.
So it's a very weird feeling to feel this much like that in the US.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just off the side of the road here, so it's fascinating.
This was shocking for me to experience, feeling so close to something I grew up in and around that was thousands of miles away in Alaska in the United States.
Okay, so we're 40 minutes outside of Nikolaevsk. Nikolaevsk is one of the most densely populated Russian areas in this part of Alaska, as it seems. And so I wonder how many other Orthodox churches like that, or maybe smaller, maybe Russian Orthodox or Orthodox following folks you have outside of Nikolaevsk, just on the side of the road, you know? So I'm excited to see what we're gonna see along the way in Nikolaevsk and even beyond.
I almost felt at home, and that feeling snowballs, and you'll understand why in the next video. Until then, like this video if you liked it, subscribe for more content like this, and hit the notification bell so you know exactly when that next video drops, and we will see you very soon. No way. Do you see that? Wow. This is insane.